Hey guys, Casey Santana here with Chief Entertainment. It is a beautiful Saturday morning here in SoCal. I have a special guest for you guys today, and we're going to share a little bit about who she is in the industry, who she is as a woman. I personally have fallen in love with her content and getting to know her. Today is going to be a pleasure because it is going to be our first time interacting. So welcome, Miss Kenya. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm super grateful to be here with you. I have been looking forward to this so much. So thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. Like I said, there's people in the same network that we happen to be in the same circle with that was very, very fond of you and was like, you got to connect with this girl. You're definitely going to love her vibe. So it's an honor to kind of like get you on here, get to know you in front of everybody. But, it's always about organic contact. I always tell people the more organic and open our conversations are, I feel like that's also doing a benefit to the industry as far as breaking the stigma and allowing other kind of curious people to see like how normal it is and how normal we are and our backgrounds are any different than what it portrays to be like the reefer madness propaganda and the whole couch lock stoner. So tell a little bit about yourself and who you are, and then we'll dive into kind of like our journey and how you experience
Yeah. So I'm Kenya. I live in Dallas, Texas, right now. Maybe I'll live here forever. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I'm kind of going with the flow here. But I'm an accountant. I do accounting in the cannabis industry. And I also just love the plant and I love the people I get to meet. I'm a mom. I have three little kids and honestly, just running off vibes, enjoying this ride right now.
Day is a new day, especially for us moms. It's like constantly pivoting and moving. And I think as long, I had a conversation with another mom and she's like, give us 30 minutes, see how much we can do. And I think it applies to our work life as well. And so, it's always exciting to meet other people in the industry who are like in the same eagerness and being a hustler, and then also finding that work balance, family balance, and self-care at the same time. So on that note, what does your morning kind of look like? I'm big on fitness and wellness. We both kind of have that same alignment in there. For me, non-negotiables, like you said, I think on my little questionnaire, you had put like me time.
Hmm.
I've seen posts that you've done where we talk about you creeping around 4 and 5 in the morning. That is so real. And I thought I was the like only one until you meet the other moms. I'm like, no, you're absolutely right. Like one little creep sound is everything.
Yeah, no, honestly, like you're like tiptoeing and because just everyone, please stay asleep. Please just give me a minute of just a little bit of peace before the day starts moving around. So my morning routine, I it's changed a lot. It's gone through a lot of phases because I tried to do like the whole like waking up at 4 a.m. every day and going to the gym, and it just really it wasn't working. I was so tired. I would be ready for bed by like 7:30. So I kind of shifted into a nighttime routine that goes into the morning. So I do all my prep for the next day at night, making lunches, like setting my day up for work, just kind of planning where I'm going to be because there is like I have to pick my kids up from school. My whole schedule for work is built around the times that I drop my kids off and pick them up. So in the morning, I really just wake up and try to write for 45 minutes. I want to write a book and I don't know what I want to write the book about. So I just start writing. And sometimes I write that I don't have anything to write about. I'm going back to sleep. And so like just taking that time but not putting too much pressure on it. So that's kind of what my morning looks like. Just honestly waking up to take a few minutes to breathe for myself before I get into the flow of the day.
Yeah, yeah, super important. I think it just, sets your tone for your mindset, and then obviously, your checklist for the day, and just get ready for the little humans to be the best human we can be to them, and then also, execute the tasks and take the calls that you probably have to take and meetings. I think for us in the industry, it's very important that we get to know people. So there is a lot of, calls that we take, a lot of face to face, FaceTimes and virtual calls. Um, Is that like something that your family is well aware of and supports you in? Because I know a lot of us are also trying to get to events in different states to get, more just leverage in understanding how the markets are growing in the different states. I see you traveling often. Can you tell us a little bit about how that is for you as a mom and as an entrepreneur as well?
So I'm super grateful to have a very supportive husband and partner. Like we're really a team. It takes that to be able to function like this. It really sometimes takes a really good teammate. And so when I get to travel, or I try not to travel so much because I know that when I travel, he's kind of left alone and he's missing half of his team. But every time I say like, "Hey, I need to go here," like we figure it out. And so it's very nice to have a supportive partner.
I have to say the same. Being a content creator, obviously we dive into other content that's out there and we see it. And there's this like rise of not like understanding and kind of respecting that home, relationship that we have. And there's so many women that can say the same thing that you're saying is, I couldn't do a lot of what I do if I didn't have my husband's support. And not necessarily that we need their like, hey, can I go here? It's not even
Right.
about it's a level of, like you said, a partnership, and it's same thing for business, a healthy partnership, healthy boundaries, communication, understanding the needs of each one of us are different, just like our children. But yeah, I think to that point, that's other information that I think other people need to start really talking about more and just being more open about it, because I just had another woman on here who is constantly making content, and her husband is very much part of that. So it's like you're finding your partnerships. You guys are working together. You guys are supporting each other, paying bills together. And I just think that there should be more light on those type of men, because they're not all dirt bags. I mean, yes, there's
Yeah.
dirt bags there, but there are good men out there who are trying to really hold it down for the family, which whatever way that looks like, maybe it's some days he's washing dishes and doing the clothes and cleaning while I'm, editing and doing shit that I need to do for this, because that's just how life is. So I appreciate you sharing that. How old are your kids?
My kids are 8, 4, and 2. Julius, Kira, and Keela.
Oh, wow. I love their names.
Thank
Um,
you.
does your names start with a J, I'm guessing?
My husband's name
No.
is Jalen. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
There. We try to
Yeah.
do for kids. That's great. Are they aware that you serve the cannabis community as far as what you do? And,
Oh my
have you?
God. Yes, absolutely. Cannabis is not an off limit topic in our house. They know exactly what we do. We for a while we lived in our RV and we traveled the country, and so everyone was right there all the time. Like you really can't hide anything, and we've had conversations about it. My son watches like weed documentaries with me. They read Fat Nugs magazine. They read the articles out loud. So like it's become like just a normal part of our lives.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think there is a lot of canna moms out there. At one point, when I actually started talking about cannabis and how I started advocating for it, was because I was looking for other moms. I'm like, I know I can't be the only one. But making it normal in the household, like women make alcohol normal and wine on their counters, that's kind of how I serve it here, or not serve it, but that's how I have it here. Um, but I think, even being when they're around me and I'm growing plants, that's whatever season it may be, they're aware of what I'm doing. They're very much involved in it because, being Hispanic and Filipino, we grew up using herbs for cooking, for medicine. At one point my grandmother made like a rosemary paste that had a few other herbs in it for, my recovery after giving birth to my son. And
Mhm.
if we could see the same light in cannabis, because that's the same thing, it has so many medicinal purposes, spiritual connections to it. that's important for other moms to kind of teach their kids about it. And so oddly, I mean, I'm not at the stage to where we're going to like PTA meetings. He's in Montessori school. And so I have like this chain that has a flower on it. And sometimes I think like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to get a comment about it, but I also have Jesus right next to it. So it's like,
Right, like it's a balance. Like, come on, stop. Like,
don't even ask.
yeah. Oh, I love that your kids in Montessori school too. That's like something so two of mine are in Montessori schools, and I'm trying to get the last one in now, but very much free mind and explore your mind. And same thing with cannabis. Like it's not a taboo topic. If you want to talk about it, great. But like I'm also not gonna force the conversation, right? If they're interested in, I'm happy to teach them. But it kind of is just like no topic is off limits at my house.
Yeah. And that's so important today because, that's the other reason why he goes to Montessori only twice a week and only half a day. Yes, it would be easier to send them off for like 8 hours and not be in my hair all day to do, what we got to do. But in today's world, I think there's been enough talk, there's been enough evidence, there's like so many people out there that just, if you can, and by all means, like everybody to each their own, if you can, homeschooling is like so much better. Then there's Montessori than just the traditional, like what we got or what I was used to, like go to school, which I hated. I could not even stay in a class. I always say like I'm the CD type of child, report card. So school was never my thing. And now that I like reflect back as a parent, and I'm more, I guess, more intentional with my parenting than my parents were. And no bashing to their parenting, because I think they just kind of molded into whatever their parents taught them. And it kind of like trickles onto that. And I think our generation has taken a step back and was like, hold up, I think I kind of want to do things a little bit different.
Yes.
Reflecting on our own past. Do you kind of feel the same as a mom?
Oh my God, I love you. I am so happy to be having this conversation with you. I talk to my husband all the time about, because like I said, we were on the RV, so we homeschooled for 13 months, but my kids wanted to go back to school. So I've been trying to find this balance of, okay, like respect your wishes and get you in the school, but also ideally all of my kids would go to school maybe 3 days a week and spend the other time with us, right? As they grow into these beings, we would be like their primary source of like information, because there's so much misinformation out there. I don't want to shelter them from everything, but I do want to make sure that they're getting access to all of the information to form their perspectives. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's important and it's such a big role. I feel so young at heart that I'm like, I can't believe I'm responsible for two humans. Like,
Yes.
fuck. And there's so much shit that goes on in this world. I'm like, why? Why does this have to happen on my clock? But I love them. I always tell people, the comment I always get is like, how the fuck do you do all that you do when they're so little at that age? Because we all know they're like attached to us. But I think again, it's like doing what we love with all our heart doesn't work. As much as it is some days, I wake up every morning, thank Jesus that I'm alive and I'm breathing, and guide me through the day. And after that, everything just kind of goes. And some days are routine, some days it's off. That's why I think I resonate also with you, Willie, as far as personal development and really taking in self-care and understanding that that's going to take discipline and sacrifice at the same time, because it kind of trickles into your parenting, who you are as a person, as far as building relationships. Anything on that? For me, I'm trying to get back on 75 hard. It's this mental program. I completed my first phase last year after 4 attempts. So I'm like, okay, the sun's starting to come out. I can't do the rain. It's just hard on me. So I'm like, okay, when the sun starts getting up, I think I can get back.
Do it.
Yeah. But yeah, do you have any experience with that? And kind of like, how are you kind of building up your mental game, so that you are a better mom and a better person as far as a business, how you move in business?
So I've been So I haven't been in the gym, and I need to start going back to the gym, but I have not been in the gym, and it's been we moved, and it's been hard to get back in, but I have been heavy working on my mental strength, right? Like it's been a challenge to be intentional, because like I don't want to yell at my kids. Like I want to show up in every space that I'm in. I'd like to show up as the best version of me, the version of me that is calm and can understand how I'm feeling and how that is being communicated. So I've been really into a lot of like spiritual books. Right now I'm reading The Power of Now again. I just reread The Alchemist for the umpteenth time. Celestine's Prophecy is one of my favorites because I've been really trying to focus on getting my life in flow with me, right, and making sure that there's that balance, and all of it is really like mental strength and how you talk to yourself and how you treat yourself, really.
Yeah, no, I think that, that mental exercise is so important. And I adapted that more. So with 75 hard, one of the tasks is reading 10
Hmm.
pages a day of that hardcover book. I've never been a reader. You could have asked me 10 years ago, what book are you reading? I'm like, fuck, I don't remember ever picking up a book. Now I have read at least one book a month, so several books, but they're all on personal development. Right now, I'm reading Choose Your Enemies Wisely from PBD, Pat Bet David. But yeah, I think just like that's equally as important as weightlifting, as watching what you eat. You're obviously still look great and your physique is
Thank
still there.
you.
Takes time. That takes effort as well, not eating like shit, not drinking alcohol. In my opinion, it just makes you well-rounded. Like you said, being the best version of yourself. That's going to take sacrifice. That's going to take us learning how to say no to certain things, even though we want to. And I think I'm growing into that as well. I think it's important that we also understand that the physical and mental game kind of cohesively work together.
Yeah.
So, and
Well, it's
also,
funny though. I've been really working on, because I'm really bad about boundaries, right? So a lot of my time right now is taken up by meetings with people who maybe I want to talk to them, but maybe I don't. Like I don't know what we're talking about, but sure, let's talk. Let's get on a call and let's just figure it out.
mhm.
Well, I'm starting to set more time boundaries and kind of reclaiming my time a little bit more, and understanding that like people not having access to me all the time does not make me like a bad person. It doesn't mean that like I don't want to talk to people or I don't like them. It just means that like right now maybe our lives are just not in alignment to connect. And so that I think that that's going to really allow me to, because it's always been either I'm working on my physical like health, or I'm working on my mental health, and I haven't been able to find the time to do both. So if I can start clearing my schedule and like understanding how to limit access to me in some ways, then I can have time to do all the stuff that I want to do to take care of myself as well.
Yeah, that is so, so good because I'm learning that as well. And I think I hate to even say this, but I think women are really bad at just taking all the calls. And we do need to start learning the boundaries. And I think they talk about somebody even saying 5 minutes, like like your clock
Yeah,
calendar is the
yeah,
5 minutes as what are we talking about here? And maybe if there's no besides a hello, hi, this is who I am, keep it short and keep it moving. But yeah, I have a feeling that most women is learning, to overcome that challenge in the best way that we can. But you're absolutely right. It's like we really need to find the comfortableness in saying no, or even,
yeah,
just doing what it's best for us to make us again more of value and our better version of ourselves at the end of the day, and then also gain respect from all ends. And I think it just kind of builds that reputation for who you are, and respect to me is huge, especially when you're walking into a boardroom where maybe primarily the audience is men. If you're trying to get something across, I think women are more emotional creatures. So if we can tone that down or learn not to put that in so much, I think that benefits us as well, because that is one of our biggest challenges to me, because the louder we are, I think some women think that loud gets through, and it doesn't. And it just makes us seem weaker, and just like your mind's a little bit more chaotic than it should be when we're acting in those ways. Would you agree?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I love talking to people with like conflicting opinions than me, because I use it as a challenge. Okay, let's talk to this person without getting mad, without getting emotional. Let's think about it and hear their point of view. Maybe they have some points. If you can take the emotion out of it, maybe you can get some more information. And I'm a really emotional person. Like, I really am. If you like, I'm sensitive. My feelings get hurt. I get over stuff really quickly too, right? Like, my emotions are high, but they are like
Yeah.
so it's always trying to find that like level of stability. I tell my husband, when we were dating, I broke up with him at one point because I was like, you're way too consistent. Like, you're just like steady, and like, I'm like this. And I've been trying to like slowly over the years, like get to a balance of where I can show that I'm intelligent and also show that I'm emotional, but like communicate them both in a level that's like people can really take it.
Yeah, yeah, I always ask for grace, because I think that's a perfect word, to demonstrate
Yeah.
what true femininity is strong. Like, the true feminine energy is very strong. However, it is very soft as well. And
Mhm.
finding that balance, I think, is super important. And I think that's also lost in today's world, where the movement is a little bit different. There's a lot of Me Too in there, and I personally don't feel that way. I think, like I said, finding women who are graceful and still strong. To that note, this year, I was so dedicated to finding women mentors. So, like I said, I'm a big fan of like Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, Lewis House. Oh, I'm like, fuck, they're all men. Then I reflect, I'm like, okay, well, I was raised by my dad primarily. My parents got divorced, and my dad took custody of us. So that was like, okay, that kind of makes sense as to why they're kind of like where I was leaning towards as to what I was absorbing. But then I start coming across Alex Harmozy and his wife, Layla, and she's a genius with what she does. I'm finding also Cody Sanchez, who's a financial guru, and we're going to be kind of diving into the financial world shortly. But are there any women in this space, or even out space in the motivational speaker world, that you're following or inspire you?
So let me get out my because I have been intentional. Same thing, because I feel like a lot of the self-help books, they are like by men, and it's from a different perspective, where especially as women of color, if we come across too strong, we're considered
Yep.
aggressive, and we have those stigmas. So I've been trying to find the balance of that. So let me see. So let me go to my library here, because
That's very
so
true.
a book I'm listening to right now is How to Talk to Anyone by Lil Londes. And she just approaches like conversation, like especially from a woman's perspective, on how to have those conversations with anyone in any room that allows you to like shine, and get shit done. Um,
Yeah, that makes
Marie Forleo, Everything is Figure Outable. She's
oh,
a powerhouse woman.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
So
I
I've
found
been
her
enjoying that.
years ago, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, just her concept of having a relationship with money. Like, I have a name, you have name it and all. Oh yes, okay. Keep telling me, girl. You're gonna have to share all these. We'll put all these in the description for you guys, so you too can grow with us. But yeah, keep going.
And the last one I have is I think this one, Unfuck Your Brain by Faith Harper.
Heard that book
So
about.
I've been trying to find, like, I'm not great at like following, like I don't have time for like to listen to a lot of stuff. So I've been
Yeah.
trying to find audiobooks to listen to in the car from women, and it's actually been really nice because it's kind of nice to hear a woman's voice come through the audible telling me like what to do, instead of like a man like telling me what to do, you know. So it's been kind of nice. It's kind of refreshing.
Yeah, I do get that because you're right. We are absorbing that masculine energy that these
Yeah.
mentor and motivational speakers are putting out there. Um, and yeah, I am trying to find that same approach. But you know, the one I do go back and forth with is Rihanna, just because she's built such an empire. She, you know, really isn't in much drama. She's very, if you watch, not so much her artist side as far as a performer or singer. Yes, great, love music. But like what she's done with her makeup line, her lingerie, how she's so involved in like like deep, hardcore fashion. Um, yeah. Any thoughts to Rihanna?
So I'm a Rihanna stan. Like I love Rihanna. Growing up, I had a Rihanna wall, like where I would just cut out pictures of her from magazines. I was obsessed with Rihanna, and I'm not as obsessed. I don't have a Rihanna wall, but my brother does make fun of me because I comment on her Instagram, like, yes, girl. He's like, you don't know her. So
We do. We have watched her grow.
you
And
know her.
yes,
Yes, I
yes,
was actually just showing, I was telling my husband last night, like Rihanna has this like femininity that is so sexy and effortless, and like she commands a room, but like she never looks like she's trying too hard. She's not trying to walk in her femininity, and she's not also not trying to be masculine. And so she has just this cool balance. Yeah, Rihanna's like goals,
yes.
goals.
Yes, yeah. I personally, she's on my vision board. She was the only one that I was like, okay, I could definitely, you know, there's a lot there that I can see and learn from just who she is as a woman, how she carried herself. So yeah, no, I'm excited that we get to connect on
And
that.
then she smokes weed effort, like she just puts it out there but doesn't make it a big deal, and I think that that's a huge part of
Yes.
normalizing weed.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, I'm constantly dripping in some sort of cannabis attire when I'm at the gym, working my ass off. And there's really like, I think there's a dumbfounded face that I see sometimes. They're like, wow, she's really putting in the work. It kind of makes them think like, okay, let me relook at this. And now I think in today's world, most of the people that are going to the gym are consuming cannabis. It's really cool when I walk in and like the check-in kids, I call them kids now because I'm almost 40, and I can tell they're like barely out of like high school, or they're like, you know, the first year of college, and they have all these questions, and it's always around vape and things like that. So it's cool to see that. And you're absolutely right. The more we can make it just part of our day-to-day lifestyle without making it so like you don't have to really go out of your way. You don't have to shove it in anyone's face. You don't have to have those conversations if you don't want. You know, it's like kind of how our neighbors here found out I was growing or I'm in the industry is I was planting. I was literally just pulling some of my plants out. Couple women in the area saw, and they just got curious and just started talking about what we do. And next thing you know, they're like, hey, can you get me gummies? And then it opens up so many more doors to having those conversations. And then that one person tells their grandparents, and it just kind of like has a domino effect. And I think having these type of conversations helps that move forward as well. And so thank you for sharing all of that. I'm excited to like get to pick your brain now on other people. Like, guess what? I read this book. I'm gonna send you this. There's a couple people
Yeah.
that I found this year that I think I'm like, okay, I think I could follow these women. Like I said, Layla Harmozy was one of them. But the other one was Valentina. I can't remember her last name, but she owned like several different spas. And she always talks about like it's a very small percentage of women to actually sell their companies. They like hold on to it. So they actually never become millionaires because the way they structure themselves. So to that point, let's talk a little bit about what you do, how you make money, how you help people in the industry, because I know you come from a financial background. I don't know if you know, but my background is corporate banking. So it started from retail all the way up to like dealing with private equity in the financial group, but primarily ended up in compliance and like BSA. So I think you may be a little bit different in that sense as far as your financial background. Let's talk about that. Where did you start with your financial background or interest? And I think you're also a CFO of Green Solutions. Is that correct?
Yeah, Green to Green Solutions. So, okay, I'm gonna keep the story short because it's crazy. Because I didn't have a background in accounting at all when I got into accounting. I actually I went to school. I was studying chemistry, and didn't have the money to pay for school anymore. I was in my junior year, and I switched jobs and lost my tuition reimbursement. Didn't know I was losing that, so I didn't have the money to pay for school anymore. So I dropped out. I worked at AT&T for a while, eventually became an insurance agent, worked at an insurance company, and one day they asked me to move to their accounting team. And I was like, sure. I didn't know anything about accounting. I walked in the office my first day and I was like, what's the difference between a credit and a debit? So I am a self-taught accountant. I got to learn so quickly. They were in the middle of going public, so they were doing an internal audit, and I got to really kind of learn a lot about accounting. And I kind of was like, this is crazy that these numbers can tell the story of a business. Like it's insane to me to think that they can hold that much information. And so I started studying more. I started my bookkeeping firm. And I stopped working at the company. I focused on being a mom, but that was like being a stay-at-home mom. Like, I'm sorry, it was kind of boring. It wasn't that fun. I didn't get to talk to any grown-ups. So I was like, okay, I got to figure out something to do for myself. I started bookkeeping, and then the founder of Dope CFO, he co-DM'd me on LinkedIn. It was like, have you ever heard of like cannabis accounting? And I was like, what? That's a thing? Like that's a thing that could be someone's job? I had never even thought about it. And so I kind of tiptoed into the industry to see if it was something like, is this like a real thing? Is this a real thing that like, honestly, that Black women can be successful in? Like, are there other people? Are we represented? How is the industry for a person of color, a woman of color? How would the industry be for me? And so I started talking to people and asking about their experiences. And one day I just woke up and decided I was going to go like, okay, let's dive into this. Let's really pursue this, and let's like put it out there. Let's put it out there for the world that like you use weed and it helps you every day, and you do accounting for people so that they can sell weed to help other people every day. And it's been a very passionate like business to run, just combining a bunch of the things that I love in a way that speaks to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's funny when you said like understanding the credit and debits. It's totally true. It's a different ballgame once you really get into it, and then you're like, oh, that's, like you said, all the different lights start to turn on. And yeah, I mean, I think it's so important that we have people like you in the industry, because you are coming from a different perspective as far as you're not really here to make money. You're here to really let people know that there is somebody you can trust. Because I think for me, coming from banking, it was always about fulfilling their needs, but it's going to be for them to trust you. And so understanding that there's like, the gatekeepers, and that how to build relationships and how to nurture those relationships so that these people can trust you with their money, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. You're basically helping them either leverage, grow, or even retain, figure out the loose ends, or the leaking faucets, I should say. Tell us a little bit about your experience in the industry helping that. I know you've shared on LinkedIn some posts, some adversities, some challenges that people run into. And at the end of the hour, you're like really scrambling, trying to figure out how to help them. You have any of those like hot stories to share with us that you're like,
oh my
wow,
gosh.
I'm sure
it's always a mess. It's literally always a mess. Like it's so I work a lot with companies who are, they're operating, they're figuring it out, but they're trying to go into that next phase, whether it's like they want to, they're trying to get to the growth phase. They're surviving, but they have a bigger image of where they want to go. So whether that's like raising money, or whether that's just like understanding anything about your accounting, right? So people come to me and it's a mess, honestly. And sometimes, like, because like I said, you can look at someone's finances and kind of tell what was going on. Sometimes I get people, I can't even look and tell what's going on. So it's like, okay, now we got to sit down and have therapy. I got to extract exactly what was going on, because none of these numbers make sense. So let me get into your head a little bit and see what was going on, so that we can put this picture together and put this story together. And so I want to have really close relationships with my clients, because I want to know your business so I can help you make sure that your finances are telling the best version of that story that you want to tell. So it's digging in and pulling back the layers of the operation to understand a little bit how the finances flow in how the operation flows. So it's super exciting, and every client is different. It's super fun.
Yeah. What's more of your clientele look like? Are you operate like retailers? Is just a variety, or what are you getting more
I have a mix of retailers and cultivators and manufacturers. It's a mix. I will say, I like working with dispensaries, the retail side, a little bit more, because it's I've worked retail before, so I know how retail operations run. It's a little bit easier for me to go in and put controls in, versus when I'm like working with a cultivator or a manufacturer. I have to really get in the weeds to understand those processes and what goes on in those processes to be able to look at how the money is flowing.
Yeah, I mean, that only makes sense, because turning the blind eye to what's going on is not going to help anybody grow. And I think, it's not the fun stuff for them, because it's not like, you're putting the flower out there. That's all the fun stuff of
Yeah.
being in the cannabis industries, when you're touching that, getting to probably design things, and then like, oh, my store's open. Then here comes all the compliance and all the
Yep.
shit that you have to almost self-regulate, because we are
Mhm.
so over-regulated that I think, if I was a retailer, though it may hurt my pocket to invest in such services, that those are the services I would want to put my money towards. Like, maybe not putting it so vampy and so like fucking pretty and like fucking Apple, but really making the infrastructure of what's going to help us grow, like setting like a 5-year, a 10-year, a 20-year, and seeing how that's going to grow, how to build the culture. Because I think, at the end of the day, when it's all odds against us, that's really what you're going to have to like learn how to battle. Because even for funding, I host the virtual events for the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce. And I get to hear these panels, and they have different trust funders come on, like self-regulating. If you want to be investable or get more money in so that you can grow, like, you're going to have to show them, hey, I monitored my shit like this close and this, because then they know where the risks are coming from, which is ultimately like a big deal for investors, and like, what's the return going to look like and when, and
You have to show that you're going to be a good steward of their money. Like that's what they want to know. They want to know that you're going to take care of their money and bring them back more. You're going to send their money out there to work and bring back more money and recruit more money and more money and more money. So it is important to be able to just understand. And a lot of times, if you invest in a cannabis specific accounting professional, you're going to save money. I've just from I remember, for one client, I just did a simple sales tax audit, and doing that audit paid for my fee for the year, just because I found how that they were misfiling every year and every month and overpaying. So it's little things like that you just may not know to look for. Having someone on your team who knows those things is super valuable.
Oh, yes. I completely resonate with that. If I was retail and when I do get my lounge open, I will make sure that we have people like you on our teams. It's super important, like I said. Do me a favor. Before we do our rapid fire, where I ask you some fun questions, tell everybody here where we can find you, where we can support you, or even, inquire on your services.
Well, okay, so follow me on LinkedIn. I post there almost daily. Kenya Alexander Davis on LinkedIn. I didn't talk about it a lot here, but definitely follow my podcast. It's here on YouTube, the Highlight Podcast, where we just talk to people and vibe about what they do in the industry. And also, if you shoot me an email, Kenya at Green to Green Solutions, I would be happy to connect if there is alignment, and we can explore how we can grow our relationship.
I love that. And yes, I forgot about the podcast. Tell us about that. Can you just briefly, like, how long have you been doing it? I know me
Oh my
personally, I've been
gosh.
having so much fun doing it. Like this, this is the first time me and her are actually interacting as well. So you guys are seeing a raw, organic relationship and conversation, FYI. But I feel like it's so educational. I know it's so selfless, but interviewing people, I learned so much shit from all angles of the industry.
Yo, it really it has been the greatest thing because it gives me so much more insight. And so I everything that people tell me, I'm like, okay, what did you tell me? How does that apply to accounting? And who can I help by sending them your way? Whose finances can I help if I send them your way? So that has been super valuable. But my podcast is very similar. Like it's all about vibing with people who care about the community that we're building, who happen to work in the industry. It has been I've I don't never thought to do a podcast. I didn't know how to do it, and I just have been just doing it, and it's so much work. I had no idea that it just took so much. So I am about to wrap for the first season. I have like 4 more episodes to air, and then I'm gonna kind of like take a break, recalibrate, and see what I need to do to really like. I'm trying to have like cheaper entertainment type production. You guys do such a good job. But I have no idea what I'm doing. So if we can connect at any point and you can give me some insights, put me to the right direction, that's kind of what I'm going in towards when we relaunch for season 2.
Yes, yes. I feel like more people are like, "Hey, yo, I see you've kind of like done this and this and that." And I'm like, I think right now there is a major opportunity for everybody to create, have a podcast because you're building your own channel basically. Like, you see all these things on YouTube, you see how they're able to monetize on there. Obviously, there's levels to it, but yes, we will definitely connect. Like you said, all of this is obviously you can do it very basic because as long as you're impactful and like you said you're bringing on people to where you're able to give more education and value to other people, it's always going to get absorbed. But if you can like start elevating your video, your
Yes, yes,
audio, like you care, you know what I mean? It's
yes.
showing
I
like
care
you
about the
care.
shit I'm putting out. Yeah. It's like
Exactly.
I want my guests to feel so valued when they come on my podcast. So I need to make sure I have the best production within reason because I'm still not making money from this, right? This is a passion project at this point, but
Yeah.
within reason. But I want to make sure that everything I touch is elevated. So the first doing it was a huge step because I wanted to get all of the information, but I was never going to have the capacity to do that before launching and learning and kind of going through that process. But yes, when we come back for season 2, it's gonna be even bigger and even better.
Yes, yes, I'm excited for that. Yeah, we'll have to share more here and we'll definitely be connecting offline and we'll share all of our tips because it's super important, I think, too, that people do that in our industry, whatever lane you're in, other entrepreneurs and successful people out there mastermind and collaborate together. So the more we can elevate our mindset in that way, I think we grow as a community. And so I'm excited to work with you in that way. And it'll be fun. It's always fun doing this shit, even though it's like, why are we doing
Hard,
this?
right? It's challenging, but it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. It keeps us young, that's for sure. Okay, I appreciate all your time. I know it's Saturday. Let's do my rapid fire. It's just 7 questions. It's my 7 grams where I just ask about, your way of consuming and enjoying cannabis in our community today.
Let's do it.
All right. Grinders or fingers?
Grinders.
All right.
Grinders.
Dispensary or plug?
Plug. I'm in Texas. We don't have dispensaries. Plug me,
I
please.
have to call you offline about Texas too, because that's a whole different subject. Okay. Floral or gasoline terps?
Floral terps.
Ooh, okay. I have some recommendations for the floral. Actually, if you follow me on Instagram, I picked up some pink Jesus today
I
from
need to
Sonoma.
go follow you. I'm gonna follow you as soon as we get off this call.
K_Chief as the personal one, but yeah, that's where I show all the fun stuff, I should say. Okay, bong tokes or joints?
Both.
I know.
Can I do that? Can I do both?
What's the everydayer?
I keep a bong loaded because it's just quick and I can do it like between the kids doing whatever they're doing. So
Most
I get
moms
like
say
a bong. Yeah.
Yeah, most moms are like the bong nowadays. And
Yeah.
I also have like the device for the dab, the electric rigs. Okay, papers or leaves?
Papers for sure. But I don't know how to roll.
Okay, that's okay. We can always learn. Do a whole thing on that. I keep telling everybody, just start doing it, and then you'll be like, oh shit, this is fun. It's therapeutic.
I know. I bet, but I'm just always like, do I have time to sit down and do it right now? But I need to learn at some point.
Yeah, you're right. With 3 kids, I always say that since I became a mom, the dabbing was the thing, the bong, because anything fast and quick, let's go, and less stinky was the way to go.
Yes.
Okay. Live resin or rosin?
Rosin.
Yeah. Any preference on a brand well, you're in Texas, so I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know.
Well, if you could ever get your shit on Huckleberry Hill Farms, they got some bomb bubble hash. And they collab with other people that, have really good rosin. Okay, last one. Cheech and Chong or half baked?
Cheech and Chong.
All right. Definitely the heart of the culture. They have a museum out here in LA. You have to check it out sometime. But
I'll have to show you. You have to follow me on Instagram too.
Yes.
We'll go into it more.
We will be putting all of your links in the description. And again, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me on your Saturday. And yeah, I can't wait to grow with you in, just the community overall.
You're beautiful. I love you. I'm so glad we got to connect. I feel like we have just so much in common, and I can't wait to keep learning more about you.
Yes, likewise. All right, guys, that is it for today. If you guys have any questions or comments, please make sure you guys shoot it down below. And again, make sure you guys go support Kenya. The descriptions for her links will be in there as well. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Peace.